Hey guys, Jessica here. Let me know, welcome by the way, let me know if you can hear me and see me. I have my studio up so it looks like you can see me, but I want to make sure everybody here can hear me and see me. So go ahead and post in the chat and let me know. Today we are going to be talking about some spring safety tips for our pets. And I have really been like so ready for spring to come, and all week long it has just been chilly and raining where I live, and I am so over it. It is super chilly again today, and I'm so ready for spring. So I decided to pick a very springy topic to talk to you guys today to kind of like, I don't know, maybe conjure some warm weather here, but we're going to be talking about some spring safety tips for our pets because right now is when we're preparing for spring, all of the change in season, we see increased reaction to allergies. We see, I mean, of course, we often get sick around weather changes and season changes, and but specifically with spring, like we're ready to kind of start new and start fresh, and then all the creepy crawlies start coming out, and so there's a lot of stuff going on with our pets, specifically in springtime. So definitely make sure, I still want to know that you can hear me. So go ahead and post in the chat and let me know. And also if you have any questions or comments, if there's anything specifically that you're looking to learn about, or if you have a question about with your dog or cat, go ahead and post that in the chat as well. If you're watching a replay of this later, you can post in the comments. It is 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and I almost completely forgot until yesterday afternoon that we had a time change. So we lost an hour for daylight savings overnight last night. So I don't know about you, I'm just a little bit off my game. I'm like I'm like thinking I have time to do something and then I don't have time to do it. So okay, JR is here and I guess you can hear me. So let me just know in the chat anybody who can hear me, I would appreciate it. And also, again, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if there's anything specifically going on with your pet right now, go ahead and post that in the chat. If there's something you want to learn about, if you have a question about, go ahead and post that in the chat. And we're going to be talking. So JR says, can you discuss the safety of dog food? I can. That's not specifically spring related, but we can make it spring related. I see lots are made from wheat. Is that bad? So there really is no like dietary need for our dogs or our cats to have carbohydrates. And similarly, we really don't need them either. You know, they're filler, and lots of pet foods are primarily filler, which are going to be grains and wheats. Not 100% of them are bad. There are different reasons why they are bad. One is because our pets don't need them, and they're getting, upwards of 50%, sometimes more, of their food contains carbohydrates, which they just don't need. And, it's not long term. It is really, really not good for the health of our pets. It's causing obesity. But then we also have to think about how these grains and wheats are being stored. And then recently we're seeing like mycotoxins from different molds that I actually did a live on this maybe at the beginning of January, somewhere around there, because there are molds and different things growing in corn and wheat and grains that the pet food manufacturers then use. So your dog is ingesting these molds, and they can be toxic. So there are like acceptable levels that can go into different foods, specifically pet foods, and we're seeing like way, 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 way more than what the acceptable levels are of these mycotoxins. So I personally choose to feed my dog a commercially available fresh food diet. And a lot of people out there actually do DIY fresh food diets for their dogs, and I think that is wonderful. If I had more time, I probably would do that as well. I don't have more. If I had more time and more storage space, if I had another freezer, and another refrigerator, probably I would, because it works best when you can do that in bulk. And if you have multiple dogs, of course, you're gonna want to do that in bulk. But um, I'm at a stage in my life right now where I don't have the extra time to do that. So I buy a commercially available fresh food diet for my dog. And right now, as a matter of fact, we are rotating between Answers Pet Food, Raw Bistro, and the Bones & Co., which Kim loves all three of those. And I had never fed her the Bones & Co. before. And I was like, I just gave it to her, no muss, no fuss, and she devoured it. She loved it, which I was thrilled for, because we are actually trying to help Kim lose weight right now, and totally our fault, obviously. We have just been giving her way too many treats, and so we've cut back on treats, and we are also, cutting back on all the food we're giving her, but we're also increasing her exercise. And the Bones & Co. is actually a ketogenic friendly diet. So I was just thrilled when she just gobbled it up and loved it. So those are the three that we are rotating with Kim right now. There are no grains, no carbs, like whatsoever, in any of these foods that I feed her. And then for treats, I give her single ingredient treats. So right now, what she's getting, we rotate between them, but right now she's getting dehydrated chicken. So it's just chicken breast that is very, very thinly sliced and dehydrated. So she's getting a single ingredient, high protein treat as well whenever she does get a treat. So that's what, there's just no need for wheats and corn and carbohydrates in our pets' diets. And so that's not to say that 100% of them are always bad, but in general, when we take everything into consideration, and then there are some things being blamed on grains in pet food that have not been proven to be grain related in pet food. So there are some dogs that, like the DCM, which is a dilated cardiomyopathy. So it's a heart condition that for a long time people thought was related to grains in pet food. It turns out it's actually not really related to grains in pet food, but to some other ingredients in pet food that are just very, very, very poor quality. So a lot of people switch to grain-free foods. And then we're seeing other issues because people are like, they get freaked out by one thing that they hear about and don't do the research on it, or try to do some research on it, but are not diving deep enough to actually learn what their pet should be eating. And they quickly switch to another fad because that's how marketing works and how these pet food companies play. That's what they do. That's what media is anymore, right? Fear is how they control the masses of population. So whatever they want you to buy next is what they're going to scare you into buying next, right? So that's what's happening with pet food. But in all reality, kibble is definitely not what we want to see our pets on. It's not a natural diet for them. Thank you so much, JR, for the super chat. Guys, I don't know if you can, or you should be able to see it. It's highlighted in green. Anytime you do a super chat, your comment is going to get highlighted. So definitely check out what JR just did. Thank you so much. Love that you do these every Sunday. It's awesome. Thank you so much, JR, for being here and for supporting my channel and asking questions, which is always fun. So let's get into these spring safety tips that I planned to talk about this morning with you guys. So Of course, one of the things we have to talk about when we talk about spring is allergies. And there are a lot of different environmental allergies. Um, of course, we're going to see if we have our pet on a balanced fresh food diet, then we're going to notice that our dog's immune system is going to be able to handle and combat these allergens in the environment a lot better. But we see a huge uptick in environmental allergies in the spring, and it's primarily because we do have our dogs on a kibble diet, so their immune system is compromised. So they're not as, their bodies can't fend off these environmental allergens as well as their ancestors were able to be, their ancestors who ate biologically appropriate diets, right? And that's not to discount what is going on in the environment and the allergens that are in the environment, because we do need to mitigate those risks as well. If we have scented plugins in our house, those are not good for our pets. If we're using harsh chemicals in our home to clean, those are not good for our pets. If we're using fragrance in our home, that is not good for our pet. It's not good for us either. Just as a blanket statement, if I'm saying something is not good for our pets, like, it's really not good for us either. So let's just be like aware of that. It's just that our bodies are bigger, so we can take on more of a load before we notice things than our pets can, because they're a lot smaller than us. And again, that isn't to discount that there are other, like, naturally occurring environmental allergens out there, like dust and pollen, dander. There's, grass even can be an allergen. So these are things that we can still mitigate and enjoy being outdoors with our dogs. Let's make sure we're cleaning our homes appropriately so that we're not letting dust build up. And pollen is hard to get away from sometimes. We can, that when we can have, in-home air purifiers, those are going to help if we really have strong pollen allergies. But again, the more our body is healthy, the more our immune system is healthy, the more we can naturally fight these allergens in the environment off. So that's one thing that I really want to kind of hammer home with you guys, especially to do with allergies, because we have become very, very, like, attack the symptom, right? That's what we do, instead of looking at that symptom and saying, what is this symptom telling me that is actually going on in my body, or in my dog's body, or in my cat's body? And let's take care of the underlying cause that is providing these symptoms, right? So let's stop putting band-aids on broken legs, basically, is what I'm saying. And then again, it's flea and tick season, right? We're coming up on flea and tick season. Again, when our body is healthy, when our dog's body is healthy, when their immune system is functioning the best it possibly can, and there are a lot of things that contribute to that. A fresh food, biologically appropriate, species-specific diet is huge and key. Also, reducing the chemicals that we're putting into the body. So let's do titer testing instead of over-vaccinating our pets. And that is going to be a whole other topic. If you have questions, you can go ahead and post those in the chat now. We will talk about titer testing at a later date, maybe even next week. Probably not. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks. And the reason I say that is because we just took Kim to have her annual exam at the vet done, and they drew blood, and we are doing titer testing. So we're waiting for those results to come back. And I have some of the results back, but we're waiting for specifically the rabies titer to come back, which can take up to 3 weeks. So I want to wait for that to come back so that I have all of the information to sit down and talk to you guys about it. I mean, I can tell you all about titer testing, but to actually show you how it works and through the process of what we did and getting the results and everything, we'll do that probably in a couple of weeks. But reducing the chemical load, stop over vaccinating our pets, feeding a species-specific, biologically appropriate diet. So when we talk about fleas and ticks, we're talking about your dog or even your cat is a host, right, to fleas and ticks. Right? Also talking about heartworm when we talk about I've been doing a lot of research on heartworm because we're moving to Texas. um, so the mosquito transmits heartworm from they draw blood from a heartworm positive dog, and it's only a specific kind of mosquito, and only the female mosquito that does this can draw blood from a heartworm positive dog and then go and bite another dog, and in that like transactional process can transmit heartworm from one dog to another dog with this one specific kind of mosquito, only the female mosquito. And if your dog is not a hospitable host, so that's what we're talking about here, making sure your dog is not a hospitable host for fleas, for ticks, for heartworm, for any of those yucky parasites that are out there that are just looking to feed on your dog. Now, there are other things we can do, and there are other natural things we can do, specifically when we're talking about flea and tick. Wondercide is an amazing product that I am definitely going to be using when we move to treat the yard, so that we can mitigate whatever may be going on in our yard specifically in the most natural way possible. And of course, again, your dog or cat, I'm talking about Kim when I'm talking about this, my dog, being the most inhospitable host possible. That's what we really have to think of. Because when we think about ancestors and wolves out in the wild, they're not, I mean, when they're unhealthy, we see that they can have mange and they can have, flea and tick problems. They can have heartworm. Generally, when they are unhealthy, when they are sick, when there's something wrong, when they are not getting enough nutrients because they're the weakest member of the pack. Like, that's what we see naturally occurring. But these strong, healthy pack members, we're not seeing that, right? We're not seeing them being over, they're not dying of heartworm. They're not overwhelmed with fleas and ticks because they're healthy, because they're eating a biologically appropriate diet, because there's a lot going on there. But anyway, I also want to talk a little bit about, avoiding standing water is another thing that's another tip for spring. So standing water, of course, there's a lot going on here, right? It winds up having a ton of dirt and debris. There's a chance, and we actually had like a big outbreak of this in San Diego not too long ago. Fortunately, we don't take Kim to a lot of these places. She is scared of a lot of other dogs, so we tend to avoid areas with high concentrations of dogs. But we had a big outbreak of leptospirosis here in San Diego a couple of months ago, and it actually tends to come from standing water situations and dogs drinking or even coming into contact with this standing water, some form of water that has just been standing there, and it's like this breeding ground for gunk and junk, and it's not good. So we want to make sure that areas around our home are kept clean, that we don't have standing water issues going on anywhere. And we also want to, of course, keep an eye on our dog anywhere they are. So there's a lot of going on. We talked a lot about allergies. I don't want to keep today's session too terribly long, but I also want to go over indoor plants that are actually safe for your pets, and specifically cats. When we think about having plants indoors, typically we don't see too many issues with dogs, but we can see a lot of issues with cats. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that cats really like to chomp in and just chew on greenery that they find. But there are actually quite a few of indoor plants that we can have that are safe for our pets. And spring is kind of that time that we just kind of start anew, and we're really sprucing up the house, cleaning the house, and we bring in fresh plants. And I know I've been looking into this because I want to have more greenery in our home, and having living plants is a great way to do that. We're also helping to purify the air when we have living plants in the home, and it really can just it changes the whole energy in your house, but it can make us feel a lot better to bring the outdoors in a lot of times. So again, spring is a really great time to do this. So here are just a few plants that are safe for excuse me, safe for you to bring into your home when you have pets, specifically cats. The first one is a spider plant, and I can actually list these excuse me, I can actually list these below. And in fact, I want to just say, it just reminded me before I get into, I'm going to start over with these plants. Excuse me, guys. I just want to say, Jennifer, if you are here this morning, I am going to be posting on Patreon today. Specifically, we're going to do 2 posts on Patreon today. I'm going to go over your question from earlier this week about your dog riding in the car. So I'm going to be posting about that on Patreon today. And I'm also going to kind of sum up today's live video on Patreon as well with a list of these plants. Sorry, guys. my throat is just, I need to clear my throat. Okay, so let's talk about these indoor plants that are safe for your pets. And I know I really, really want to add more greenery into my home, and I'm like, going back and forth on my do I, don't I, because I don't know that I want to transport plants in a few months. I have one specifically, my lavender that's here behind me, that I have kept alive for a lot longer than any other plant I've ever kept alive before. Lavender is actually something you don't want to keep around your cats specifically. But I just happen to love lavender, so I keep it separate from my cats. So anyway, 5 plants that are safe for your cats specifically, but pets in general. The first one being spider plants. So they're completely non-toxic and pet friendly. They help clean and filter the air, like I was talking about. And you can actually have this potted, you can have this hanging. A spider plant is very, very versatile, and so that's going to be number 1 actually on our list of plants that are safe to have in your house around your pets. The second one is called a prayer plant. It's actually called a Calathea rattlesnake plant, but people tend to call it a prayer plant for some reason. It's much more colorful, so if you really want a ton of color and not just green, you might want to go for the prayer plant. It is safe for cats and dogs, and it is touted to be a low maintenance plant. So I guess they have like varying colors, so you can grab a few of them and put them together and have like a big bold color palette, which could be pretty nice. So the second one is a prayer plant. The third one is just pretty much any kind of herb. You can grow herbs and use them for cooking, which is great. And then they're also going to add green to your home, which is another wonderful thing that we want to do, especially something we think about in the spring. So, you could have basil or sage, cilantro, mint, rosemary. We actually our whole neighborhood is full of rosemary, but we have a big rosemary plant on the side of our house. It's probably been growing for like 30 years. Rosemary, thyme, those are all cat friendly. And of course, dog friendly. You can keep, a small container garden in your kitchen, or really anywhere in your home. And you can actually use these herbs for cooking. So that's another great option to bring some greenery into your house and to make sure they are pet safe. The fourth one is called the American rubber plant. So you kind of have to be careful with this one because sometimes they are mislabeled, but the true American rubber plant is safe for dogs and cats. Though not all rubber plants are pet friendly, so you do have to be kind of careful in this one. But when you do find the right one, it's the American rubber plant. It's small and it doesn't need a ton of water. And yeah, so that's just another good plant that you could have in your home that is pet friendly. And the fifth one is probably one of the best ones, and that is just wheatgrass. And not only is this safe for your pets, but cats actually absolutely love wheatgrass. So that's a really great way to incorporate some green in your home and actually have a plant that you can share with your cat. And let's see. Yeah, so you could do so many things with wheatgrass in your home. Have it on the windowsill, and I mean you can really create even you can have a big patch of it and grow it just for your cat and use it to play in and let your cat chase the toy mouse in it. That would be a great way to not only bring the outdoors in for your cat, but also to provide a lot of enrichment for your cat if you specifically have a cat. And then again, it is safe for dogs. So those are just some of the things I wanted to go over and talk to you guys about for when we're talking about spring and pet safety in the spring. Yeah, so again, guys, if you have any questions at all, make sure to post them in the chat, or if you're watching this later, post them in the comment section below. I do want to remind you guys, I kind of mentioned it a little earlier, if you are not already following me on Patreon, make sure to check the link in the description and head over to Patreon to follow me. You're going to get all new and exclusive content over there on Patreon. I have 4 different tiers that you can choose from, so you can pick the one that is going to work out best for you. When you do that, you're helping support me and this channel so that I can continue to bring you guys new content and better content, and I really appreciate each and every one of you for joining me over there on Patreon. I also have my link tree in the description below, so definitely take a couple of minutes and check that out. You're going to find tons of links there that you're going to find very, very useful. I went ahead and added the Animalio website to my link tree because I just talk about them so much. If you are interested in finding them, I added them to my link tree this past week. You can also find links to my online dog training course, my ebook about dog training, the 7 Miracle Steps. I definitely recommend that for every pet parent. Go ahead and grab your copy of the ebook. It's super, super inexpensive. You can find that there. You can also find a link to my other YouTube channel, which I don't talk about a ton, but I'm going to bring that up today. And actually, I just see that JR asked me about it. So my other channel is called Home Sweet Farmhouse, and I talk about pretty much everything home. I do DIYs, I do Dollar Tree hauls, I do organization and cleaning, and just tips and tricks for around your home, how to save money when you're at the Dollar Tree when you're shopping items. My husband is helping me with a video right now. We went the other day and shot a bunch of footage for what you should absolutely not be buying at the Dollar Tree, whether it is not worth it because you're going to pay more for it, or whether the quality is just really bad. So that is going to be a fun video coming out soon. So you can find that link also in my link tree if you want to check out my home channel as well. I do hope you check it out, and make sure to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and any video you find on my channel, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It's going to help the YouTube algorithm to show my videos to more people, and it's going to help my channel grow, and I would really appreciate that. Also, look right down there at that subscribe button, and if it's red, go ahead and click it and turn it gray. When that happens, a bell will appear. Click the bell and select all notifications. That way YouTube can notify you anytime I post a new video, which is generally on Wednesdays, or anytime I go live, which is on Sundays. Also, if you would please share my channel, both of my channels, with anyone who has pets, and my other channel with anyone you think would enjoy that sort of home and DIY content. I have a goal this year in 2021 to get this channel to 25,000 subscribers, and I can't do it without your help. So I would very much appreciate if you subscribe and refer any of your friends and family with pets over to this channel. And then on my other channel, my home channel, it is a newer channel for me, so my goal this year is to get that to 1,000 subscribers. So definitely go check that out as well, and make sure to subscribe. I can't do it without you guys, and yeah, so I just want to continue bringing great content to you. Let me know what you want to see. If you have any questions, post that in the chat, or if you're watching this later, post in the comment section. All right, guys, it is noon where I'm at. JR says he's sharing. Thank you so much. It's noon where I'm at, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video and go grab some lunch. And yeah, thanks so much for being here with me today, guys. Again, if you're not already following me on Patreon, make sure to click the link in the description and go follow me on Patreon. If you are on Patreon, we're going to do 2 posts today. I will get them up later on this afternoon, so make sure to check in later for that. You'll get your email, of course, letting you know that I posted. And also, if you're not already with me on Patreon, I want to give you a little bonus. Go and join my Patreon today, and you will get an extra special bonus. I have a PDF that gives you over 30 enrichment ideas for you and your dog, some of them including videos and instructions, over 30 ideas, as well as what canine enrichment is and why you need it in your life. So if you don't know what it is, you definitely need to know what it is, because you and your dog need enrichment in your life. This is a gigantic PDF with tons of great ideas and information. And I normally sell it for $29, but if you join today, you're going to get it for free. So make sure you check out the link for Patreon. Go ahead and join. At any tier level, you're going to get this PDF as an added bonus for free. So go ahead and join me over on Patreon today. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you guys in our next video.